Here is my second video on these first 5 colors that we're checking out for this class, watercolor class. I'm just going to move forward. You can go see the first one if you want. But what I'm going to start in, I've already gone and done individual layers, very watery mixes. And for this top row, I came back and did a little bit juicier mix. I'll probably come back and keep layering on more. That's part of the whole point of this, is to kind of sneak up on it and be able to adjust. It's much easier to get things darker than to get them lighter. So let's see here. Here's my second layer of quinacridone rose. And I can already tell that's probably too watery of a mix because I'm pretty familiar with this color. You guys, if you're just starting out, you won't be. I think the last video I said I wasn't going to do exactly what I'm doing. It's kind of doing 2 at a time. If you get comfortable with this, like I probably said before, you're certainly welcome to do that. So at this point, I could say, you know, I know this is going to go darker, or I can just keep learning about it and keep layering on layers to learn just how dark it's going to get. So I'm going to pretend like I'm not really that familiar with this color, and I thought that was kind of a juicy mix, and I'm going to move on to my yellow. This water is fairly pinkish, so being careful kind of to see if this turns too orangey. I think it's fine. But that's kind of a juicy mix. Not what I'd call watery, not what I'd call creamy. You really have to sort of be where the actual paint is and kind of get a sense just how thick and either watery or viscous. Maybe viscous is the opposite. Anyway, same kind of idea. Lay down that one, a second layer. Okay. Well, here's a point where I'm really wishing I sort of had clean water, but I'm still going to go for it. Let's see what happens. There's certainly a little, because I'm going to go move on to the peacock blue, and there's a little bit of orange in that. Yeah, well, a little bit of yellow and a little bit of pinkish red in that water. So hopefully you guys know if we start mixing some kind of version of all 3 primaries, they're going to gray each other out. But I'm banking on the fact that there's really not enough in there to influence the color very much. There's that. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough for this. Find out soon enough. Especially when we're laying on this second layer is when having a nice soft brush that holds a lot of water and paint is going to come in really handy. I think that's fine. And since the indigo is mostly just sort of a darkish bluish gray anyways, I'm going to really not worry about it, about whether my water is influencing the color or not. Because if it is influencing it, it's just sort of adding to what it already is, and that's kind of gray. Sneaky guy here. You. Out of there. Mix up a little more just to encourage you guys to have plenty mixed up. So when I came back and mixed a little bit extra, it's quite likely that it's not going to be exactly the same value as the previous one, and indeed it looks a little bit darker. So these terms watery and juicy and creamy are obviously just sort of arbitrary, and there's an entire spectrum of just how watery or how creamy you can make it. I try to break things up into threes to get your head around things a little bit quicker. So as we are building up, I'll keep doing some, and in fact I'll go ahead and I'll try doing a pretty creamy quinacridone burnt orange for that third column up there. At the top. So let's see. The creamier it gets, the less it's going to sort of want to move around, because the less proportion of water to pigment there is. But you can still get it to the point where it's going to move around quite happily. So I can tell value-wise that, yeah, I came to a creamier mix, and well, that's going to dry a little bit lighter than that. There's certainly two, if I'm trying to make the value jumps kind of equal, I would need to come back and do a little bit of an in-between watery and juicy on top of that one. And since I'm having so much fun, I'm going to do it. So I just want to make that middle one a little darker. If I just add really watery, it won't really darken it much. But if I add some that's just a little bit darker, don't want to make it too dark. I'm trying to gauge between just how dark it's getting. I think I may have overdone it, but we'll see after it dries. I'm going to let the rest of this dry and then come back and do some more.